Thank you for the honor to share, participate in this very august gathering. As you see, this talk is a kind of sign of what has been discussed through the 2 days. I'll go quickly. The time has been cut by 15 minutes, so I will rush. So the title is The Library on the 2030 Horizon, Strategic Approach to Sustainable Development Goals by Libraries. I'll go. It's the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals is a very ambitious agenda. You can see the declaration is known as Transforming Our World. Look at the keywords. 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. It was agreed by the heads of states and governments of our countries for us, all of us, because if you read through the declaration of itself, it says we agree this on behalf of all those people we lead. It's not our own. It was agreed for all of us. It's made up mainly of 17 goals, and 169 targets, 232 indicators. There are more indicators, but some indicators serve for 2 or 3 targets. The vision is very ambitious. If you read the preamble, the ambition is, if we realize our ambitions across the full extent of the agenda, the lives of all will be profoundly improved and our world will be transformed for the better. It's mainly for transformation. It is important for everybody to read the preamble of this declaration. It's very poetic. I like to read it. And the previous presentation I made, I had to get everybody to read it together. We don't have the time now. But take the time, go to the site. If you don't know the number, the number is on the first. This is the number. And if you put sustainable development goals in Google or in any place, you will get to it. You see, there are 5 dimensions to the declaration. It's called the 5 P's, which are the people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. It's to eliminate poverty and hunger, to protect the people, to protect the environment, the planet, to ensure that we all become prosperous and the prosperity is shared equitably among us, and that we live in peace and security, and that everybody lives in an inclusive society without fear and without violence. It's not just, it's an inclusive, and that partnership is the number 1 thing. Like all of us have gathered, that we work together to achieve the goals. So the Sustainable Development Goals, we are not going to read all of them here. There are 17 of them. And make sure, I think if each of you goes through this agenda, I think that will be one achievement of this presentation, to read through that. So let me go through the conceptual framework on which this development goal is based on. This is more of analysis of it. The concept of development originally, as has been described, is in general, people, when you hear of development, when people hear of development, what they think of is like odors. Yeah? But at theoretical level, there are assumptions that it is good to be developed, and societies can get developed. And at the theoretical level, that there are industrial societies, norms, and processes that lead to development. And that the indicators compare nations and fuel advocacy for development action on a practical level, and that the states, countries, local governments can plan development, and NGOs can facilitate it, and people can go and development can take place. That was the classical concept of development. Over the years, development has taken more of human-centered, become more human-centered, it's right-based, participatory, holistic, more systemic, multidimensional, knowledge-based. Human security, dignity, freedom is included in it. It's future sensitive. The international relations is not countries fighting each other, but countries interlinked, intertwined to solve the borderless problems we have in the world today. And in international, when you hear development, and the UN talks of development, what do they do? You see, if you read the former Secretary General Boutros-Ghali of Egypt, at some point in his publication called the Agenda for Development, he defined development in this manner, which is the improvement of human well-being, the quality of life, involves eradication of poverty, fulfillment of basic needs, including rights to development, that people have the right to develop, to participate in development, and that development must take care of fundamental freedoms and make institutions participatory, and so on. The agenda itself is based on that human-centered. That's why you can see it's comprehensive, participatory, multidimensional, human-centered, whole world, one world, open world, interlinked, borderless problems. It's non-based, right-based, future-sensitive, inclusive. No one should be left behind. The aim is that everybody is carried along. And for libraries, let me come to our own business. We said we have development data. This is an attempt to encapsulate data from data to development. Data is more neutral, fast, simple, that can be analyzed. Information is an aggregation of data about social, natural entities in a way that convey meaning, stimulates human understanding and action. Knowledge is more of capacity to recognize patterns and actionable values, bits of information, stimuli, events, and the capacity to use information productively in various ways and appropriate ways. And that innovation is ability, the restructuring of things, inputs, ideas, processes, so as to produce new and useful effects, products, services. And development depends on transformative innovation. Libraries, if we must participate in development, we must approach it in a transformative manner because it must be based on innovations that are transformative. So development must necessarily be knowledge-based. If it's not knowledge-based, it will not work. And therefore, knowledge is both an ingredient and a catalyst for development. And librarians, being the purveyors of knowledge, are part of development. as catalysts, as part of it. Development and growth of an entity will depend on the capacity of its members to create, to be innovative, to be transformatively innovative. And development programs must be heavily knowledge-based, so that people will use their time productively. Yeah, you see, there is in the U.S. political history, there is what they call the Truman Point 4 program, which is the first knowledge-based development program developed. This was done started in 1949 when Truman was sworn in. He had a 4 program, 4-point program. This was number 4. When he read, we must embark on bold and new program for making benefits of our scientific advances and industrial progress available for improvement of growth of underdeveloped areas. And he said that, America is rich, but the best thing America can give to underdeveloped countries is knowledge and the capability to develop themselves. And they started that programs. And to demonstrate the strength of knowledge, the impetus he gave to knowledge, 50% of the resources devoted to that program was for knowledge, for development of capacities of people, and 50% was for material and other things. And so President Truman's position that time, that knowledge drives development, remains valid today. And so, that's why it's important that librarians are at the center of these SDGs. Over the years, people have been doing this and that, forgetting that really development is the development of capacities of people. The capability of each person to contribute to the society, to make things move, to understand better that it's better to live together in peace than to fight. You see, it's not just, so that idea of changing people, their capacity to do things well and to relate to each other better is the crux of development. And this is what libraries are very good at. So we should. So, every development system, whether it's a country or a company or a local government, they should have a knowledge system. And in the country, mainly, it's more of, you have universities, you have primary schools, you have libraries, you have all kinds of things that contribute, strengthen knowledge for development. That's what it's called, knowledge system. You see, the combination of internally organized knowledge, the capacities, the links, lead to, it's called, you see, effective knowledge systems are required for successful development programs. It is important to distinguish between knowledge using and knowledge creation. Knowledge creation is important for development. And whatever we are doing, we must support the creation of knowledge and to make knowledge more open rather than closing, and on knowledge creating elements in an open and dynamic settings contribute more to development and the development value chains. In 2017, I published one paper on the framework for national knowledge system, and we called it the FIRES framework, which is mainly the functions like the libraries, communication and information, intellectual property rights, and so on. The institutions, colleges, schools, universities, research centers, the relationships, the networks, knowledge sharing, the production, the partnerships, the public-private people partnerships, the interaction among institutions and government, and the enabling policy environments, the infrastructure, the access policies, the science, industrial clusters that are developed, and the social political dynamics, the social political how the governance allows people to be free to contribute, the quality, the dynamism. These things that create the dynamism for the knowledge system to work well. It's called the FIRES framework. There's a national framework for sustainable development. What should it be? A national knowledge system for SDGs would be dynamic and adaptive, complex. A complex system because it's made up of several parts, many parts, several parts, because of the diversity of the SDGs. You must have really approach this as a complex and adaptive system. Each SDG target would have its own knowledge system. You must think about it, have a knowledge map for each goal, each target, each indicator to get it right. And a target-based system would intersect with a number of other target systems. What I mean target system means the target of SDGs, like improve primary school attendance from 8 to 9. The goal-based systems should intersect with each other, and such that a composite national SDG system will become a giant cluster of systems. Just creating a mental image of a national system. It's a giant system, a cluster with different systems working together to produce a strong bubble of knowledge that supports the development processes. Yeah, so dynamics as a human activity is an activity system, multiple overlapping, and so on. So to look at it, you pay much more attention to the multiple interactions that take place within the system, the dynamics that define the characteristics, functions, and properties. So let me look at this. For instance, these are just dynamics. Let's look at the right side. The diffusion is virtual proximity. Diffusion of knowledge between entities is virtual. Instead of not that we are all together, but it can be virtual if they have a network, different areas. If they interact, they are close. That's what is called virtual proximity. Structured, active, smart cooperation. Please control my time there. You see, the dominant direction of knowledge flows is both vertical and horizontal anywhere. But sector interlinkages. The role of research and learning centers is pervasive, very strong, consistently influencing activities. The role of large institutions like UNAM in Latin America, in Mexico, what should it be? It should be pervasive, important. It should affect what happens in the smaller institutions. That is when the knowledge system can work. Bigger institutions are helping the smaller institutions to work well. What is happening in the big institutions, the small ones are taking note of it. The ratio of internal and external sources is mainly balanced, roughly equal, bringing knowledge from inside and taking what is inside. Modalities and channels of sourcing of knowledge is diverse, organized for relevant and science. There are expert gateways, gatekeepers, like librarians. Number 6 here, that librarians organize for relevance, science, and they make sure that the information that is getting in is helping, is direct, cutting off information overload. Let me put my friend there. The role of public-private entities should be mandated, funded. Learning should be mandated. It's not something done casually. It's something that has to be done, budgeted for, implemented. Type of learning and research, action-oriented, result-based, deep and wide scope, transdisciplinary. The knowledge-related public policies should be dynamic, coherent, renewed. It's not that we had this policy 10 years ago. Today it's no longer relevant. You have to revise it. Enabling social and political space for participation, freedom to generate, access information. Institutions are transparent, accountable, and inclusive. What I tried with it is what should a knowledge system that supports SDGs, how should it be? And the SDG targets requiring direct contributions from libraries. You see, we have been, sometimes we say, oh, the librarians took care of SDG 16 target 16.4, which is access to information. And you see, but there are 88 targets of SDGs, 88, that are directly dependent on the strength of information services. Yeah, and that's 52% of all the targets. So libraries and information services are very important for executive. Even if top policymakers don't realize it, we should make them realize it. Say, look, you put this thing there, you need this knowledge infrastructure to get it done. If they are not there, they won't be done. So, if you look at those targets, they have research and development, in them they have empowerment, access to scientific information, and so on. You see, these are, it's important. This is why I encourage you to read through this program so that you know that it's actually your responsibility. I have marked. This is like you have to. You have to. I put it down here. I know nobody will read it, but probably I will distribute the paper later on for everybody to know the targets that. And I put a list of it, but you see, it's so that I have done this so that you don't have to repeat the searching. So when you get it, you know which ones are really. So role of libraries and information services in knowledge systems or SDGs. Libraries are an important component of the national, sectoral or state or local government knowledge system, both as system component and as a catalyst for knowledge uptake and use. When I say catalyst, you know, in chemistry, let me explain this again, everybody knows. In chemistry, you may put, they say, you need 3 elements or 3 compounds to do a reaction that produces a product. You put all those 3, they don't work. The reaction doesn't start. You put additional one, a catalyst, and the reaction takes place. That catalyst, the quantity may not matter, but it has to be there. If it's not there, the reaction can't take place. Those new chemical products will be produced. And that is what libraries are, information. You see, if you may have gathered all the materials, all the people, everything, the buildings and everything, and you don't have that thing that kicks people to start thinking, to start working together, you can forget it. Nothing will change. So, libraries manage boundaries. You know, we do this as libraries in universities. If you analyze what we do, it's a big boundary work we do. Boundary bridges. We buy the books written by one person and buy the others. We put them together for everybody. We create a place for people to stay together. We make them work together. That is breaking those boundaries. Probably most librarians do it inactively or passively without knowing what they do, but it's actually a very important work in knowledge system. It's boundary bridging to bridge those boundaries and make them active rather than negative boundaries may become positive boundaries. Active institutional mechanisms are needed to facilitate communication, boundary bridging, interfacing between various components of knowledge systems for sustainable development goals to happen. So, I summarize it, the three where libraries must act for SDGs to work. So, towards a strategic framework for SDGs for libraries. Libraries face a very complex strategic environment. There have been disruptions caused by the internet and related ICT. Competitive pressures from new and non-traditional knowledge sectors. Because of this disruption, new competitors came in. You know, it was easy to build something like Google, Facebook, and all this one, Twitter. You know, it's easy for anybody to start taking what libraries used to do. Yeah. So, because of the first technological disruption, there are social, economic, and social dislocations. The economic crises that have taken place in different times in different places, massive ones and the smaller ones. And the user expectations that became changed. Urgent, unfettered, easy access, everybody wants something too quickly. And the change of attitudes towards foundational infrastructure, like libraries are foundational institutions. They are built to solidify the basis of the country, the society. They are not built to produce short-and-go gains, no. But people start questioning, what is it? Why this room? Why is it left open? Why have you used? You know, we can fill it with something else. But they are foundations for that, for those institutions and societies. So, but in the past, chief executives, I remember in the first place I worked, any visitor, any big visitor, our director general will bring the visitor to the library because he felt that that was the center of the research center. So I don't know whether they do it these days. These days, you go to that place. The last time I visited that center, you know, it didn't look like the center of gravity of that institute, the way it was. Because, and that is a change, and if I affect the library, it's that change of attitude towards the foundations. People don't care about the foundations again. They want to kick and run quickly and go to another institution or, you know, to be on Facebook or something like that. Change of attitude and SDGs demand for us time, you know. SDG time is short. Like I live in New York City, we say the New York minute is less than 60 minutes. If you must live and achieve something, you must cut it. You must say, my minute is only 45, 20 minutes. You have to do your things quickly. So for SDGs, you must act quickly. Because of the disruptions, because of so we have to restructure and we have to think out of the box. So that's the strategic environment library has found itself. It's very quick. And so now you want to chart a path towards 2030. In the SDG framework, usually recommended is backtesting to put yourself in the future or activity. You take yourself to 2030, what you should have achieved then, and you say, okay, what should I do to reach this level of the vision? I have put you can see the guide in the UN development platform, the sustainable development platform. It says, for libraries, a national library group organization can set up a strategy for 12 years. We are now in 2017, 2018. So libraries need a 12-year rolling strategic plan from 2018 to 2030. Every library that is serious about SDGs should have it. It should be a rolling plan. This plan must be revised every year. That's what it means by rolling plan. And you generate a desirable future. You are there and you see what you should be there. You take note of the transformations that are taking place in those new areas. You return to the present. You plan the process to take you there. That is the roadmap, the detail. You strategize, you organize yourself, the resources, where am I getting funds, which people, how do I restructure my staff, and so on, what do I do to start doing things that I need to do to get there. Such a plan of action should be immediately formulated and rolled out. Just like the SDG time-based. SDG minutes. Okay, you see, if you look at the Mexico, there's an example of their vision for the energy sector. Mexico is one of the 3 case studies they did to look at what happened with MDGs. I think for Mexicans, it's important to read that, to see how, so I don't want to tell you that, you can go and find out how Mexico fared in general by analyzed from another group, not the UN. In crafting this strategy, you look at the IFLA global vision. I looked at it. I think that has really taken care of a lot of things. We have developed the core values. There are 10 there. I was hoping that the results will come out by the time I make this presentation. It didn't come out. So all the 10, I put them there. But they are all relevant anyway, no matter how they are ranked. The libraries, what are they exceptionally good? What are they exceptionally good and what you must continue to do well? Organizing information is improving access. What should libraries do more? This is the important one. You must advocate, measure impact, support learning, promote marketing, embrace digital and innovation, foster research and innovation, do community engagement, and so on. What should libraries do less? You know, you should not duplicate, you should not be shy, and you should not be massive. You know, you should rely on community needs. You should be more active, flexible, and so on. What are the main challenges of libraries? What are the main challenges? What should we solve? You should look at user expectations. What is important too is lack of leadership capacities. They are highlighting all this. This is from the IFLA vision reviews we did, which is not yet completed. But all these are relevant from my own. So the IFLA group, what should characteristics of okay, I come to the framework for action for libraries. There are 4 quadrants here. It's boundary building. You must concentrate in that. Essential advocacy and outreach. Transformation of resources to become an integrated professional knowledge service. Focus on the success of your clients, of your institution, of stakeholders. The chief librarian is the chief success officer of everybody who's connected. Success of your staff too, to make things move. And in creating and nurturing knowledge networks across institutions and geographies, and strong knowledge leadership as the foundation of that, underneath, carrying all these ones. So I try to put some flourish in that. I think this may be the next when we sit down to talk about the next round, maybe, because this time I'm being shown half a minute. And when we say boundary buildings, these are some of the examples of boundary building that will be new. We have been doing a lot of boundary buildings in the past. The advocacies, commemorate international days to spread awareness of change, diversify library roles, present SDG initiatives, be present when these initiatives start and work on them, produce online and offline research guides on SDGs, and there are a lot of things you have to do. Transform your resources and services. Transform the resources. Participate in cross-institutional SDG projects. Facilitate action learning and research, radically increase SDG-related resources, and improve quality of information analysis and metadata service to enable access to SDG information. Recently, I was looking at revising some work done in my group. I saw a new report, a new book published by the Cambridge University of work done by 200 scientists, and with 600 scientists with 200 topical areas. The book is like this, and I tried to look at the indexing. It didn't really reflect the data in that. When libraries talk of big data, we are the chief big data holders, but we are hiding much of the data. So I looked at it again. I went to the web to see how those who have cataloged the book have done, and I see most of them did very scanty analysis of the book. Only a few, about 3 that didn't, they highlighted the titles, but they didn't highlight the authors. And I went around to see, I went to the research gates to see those who participated, how did they want their work to be. Some of them have taken their work there to advertise it, to put it in open access areas. When we talk of open access, because the book was produced open access, they are able to take their chapters and put elsewhere for other scientists to get access. That's the major ocean, the first integrated marine assessment. How is our marine health? How is it being used now? It is the baseline study for SDG, and this data is hidden. There's a lot of money, a lot of scientists, a lot of people work. So, and we have to re-index it to make it, but with the system we had, to be sure that at least if you put a keyword of the author's name, at least you can get the publication. So what I'm saying is that when we do things, it's not enough for SDGs. I don't think it's, I just give an example from my own area of specialization. So it is important that we change those things. The networks, and so on. Look, the strong leadership, which is important. Most of you here were leadership position. The IFLA vision study, the best important thing is for strong leadership. It's a strong leadership matters for libraries. Strong leadership is not a leader that fights in the organization, but a leader that collaborates. You and spread true narratives. Libraries have left their narratives to be created and spread by others. Oh, the library is not doing well, this and that. It's coming from, somebody comes to define how many staff will be in the library. It's not the leader who knows it. Okay, so the leadership, you know that a library is a sanctuary of the mind. If it doesn't exist, knowledge will escape from the society. And so on. And the leaders should take the lead to mainstream SDGs in resource development, in services, institutional planning, in their activities. Thank you very much. Gracias.